Have you ever found yourself just scrolling? You're staring at your phone, thumb moving, but you don't even remember what you were looking for or why you even opened the app in the first place? Well, I'm here to tell you that's not a bug, it's a feature. It's not a mistake on your part. Today, we're going to pull back the curtain and look at the actual four-step blueprint that companies use to intentionally and very effectively hack your brain and build habits. Yeah, we have all been there, right? You pull out your phone with a clear mission. I'm just going to check the time. I need to see if it's going to rain. And then, poof, you blink and 20 minutes have completely vanished down some digital rabbit hole. You've been sucked into this scrolling vortex, and you kind of surface from it feeling dazed, confused, and asking yourself, wait, what just happened? And here is the most important thing I want you to take away from all this. That feeling of losing control, that little voice in your head that says, I have no willpower, it's not a personal failure. It is the intended, calculated result of an incredibly sophisticated and well-researched design. You haven't been failing, you have been expertly and successfully programmed. Okay, so what exactly is this blueprint? What's the secret recipe they're all using? Well, let's get right into it and look at the framework that companies use to get us, well, hooked. It's a framework called the hook model. It was developed by a behavioral economist named Eyal, and it's become the gold standard in Silicon Valley. It's this simple but honestly brilliantly powerful four-step loop that is designed to do one thing: connect a product to your deepest feelings and your everyday routines, until using it is a total reflex, something you do without even thinking. So the model creates this self-reinforcing cycle with four key stages. You've got the trigger, the action, the variable reward, and finally the investment. That's it. Once you really understand how these four steps work together, you'll start seeing them everywhere, and you'll finally understand the mechanics behind your own digital habits. All right, let's dive deep into the first three parts of this cycle. This is really the engine room of the whole habit machine. This is where, the magic happens, and frankly, where a lot of the manipulation happens too. So everything, and I mean everything, kicks off with a trigger. You can think of it like the spark plug in an engine. It's the little nudge that initiates the whole behavioral sequence. But, and this is key, there are two very different kinds of triggers. Okay, so first you have the external triggers. These are the obvious ones. The little red dot on your app icon screaming for attention, the buzz your phone makes in your pocket, the email with that clickbaity subject line. They are literally cues in your environment telling you, hey, look at me, do this now. But here's the thing. External triggers are just the training wheels. The real goal, the holy grail for these companies, is to attach their product to your internal triggers. These are your feelings. The moment you feel a pang of boredom, what do? You open YouTube. The second you feel a little bit lonely, you're on Instagram. That feeling of uncertainty or needing an answer, you're already typing into Google. When an internal feeling becomes the trigger, that's it. A habit isn't just forming, it has been successfully formed. So once that trigger fires, whether it's external or internal, the next phase is all about getting you to actually do something, to perform an action. And you better believe the designers of these apps have a very specific formula for making that happen. And that brings us to this really important formula from a Stanford researcher named B.J. Fogg, the Fogg behavior model. It's simple. Behavior equals motivation times ability times trigger, or B equals MAT. You need all three at the same time for a behavior to happen. Now, tech companies, they can try to influence your motivation, but they can't really control it. But what they have almost absolute total control over is the A, your ability to perform the action. And their entire strategy is to lower the ability bar to the ground. They want to reduce friction until the action is so simple, so effortless, you do it without a second thought. Just think about it. Scrolling through a feed is way easier than clicking on a next page button. Swiping on a dating app is way easier than typing out a message. An infinite scroll, that's the master stroke. It completely removes the conscious decision to continue. You don't have to do anything to see more. The easier they make the action, the less motivation you need to actually do it. Okay, this brings us to what is arguably the most powerful, most potent phase of the entire loop. After you perform that frictionless action, you get a reward. But here's the twist. It's not just any reward. The real power is in its unpredictability. This is the digital slot machine. It's the exact same psychological principle. When you pull down to refresh your Instagram feed, you are literally pulling the lever on a slot machine. You have no idea what you're gonna get. It might be a boring photo from your aunt. It might be an ad. Or it could be an amazing meme, a message from a friend, or that piece of news you were waiting for. It's that variability, that tantalizing uncertainty that activates the brain's reward system and creates this almost frenzied state of hunting and seeking. And we have to talk about dopamine here, because there's a huge misconception. We always hear about dopamine hits as if it's some kind of pleasure chemical, but the neuroscience is really clear on this. Dopamine is not about the pleasure of getting the reward. It's about the anticipation of a potential reward. It's the chemical of wanting, of craving, of seeking. And when a reward is unpredictable, this dopamine system goes into absolute overdrive. It's the maybe this time feeling that becomes so addictive. So what does this actually feel like in your brain? Well, in her amazing book, Dopamine Nation, Dr. Anna Lembke describes it like a teeter-totter. Pleasure and pain are processed in the very same part of the brain, and your brain is always trying to keep them balanced, a state called homeostasis. When you get that rush from a potential reward, the teeter-totter tips hard toward pleasure. But your brain can't stand being out of balance, so to compensate, it immediately tips an equal and opposite amount toward pain. And what does that pain feel like? It's that itchy, irritable feeling of craving. So what's the quickest way to get rid of that feeling? You reach for the device again to get another hit. And that is the cycle of compulsive consumption that makes these variable rewards so incredibly potent. Now, these rewards, they're not all the same. They tend to fall into three main buckets. First, you have rewards of the tribe. This is all about our deep, primal need for social connection and validation. We're talking likes, comments, shares, friend requests. It's the feeling of being seen and accepted by our peers. Then you have rewards of the hunt. This taps into our desire to acquire things, and that can be physical things, like finding a great deal on a shopping site, or it can be information, like endlessly scrolling Twitter to find that one interesting tidbit. And finally, you've got rewards of the self. This is about intrinsic motivation, mastery, competence, and completion. Think about the satisfaction of finally reaching inbox 0 or beating a tough level in a game. It feels good because it's a demonstration of our own skill. So let's recap. You've been triggered, you've performed an effortless action, and you've got an unpredictable dopamine-driving reward. Now we arrive at the final, and maybe most genius step in the model. This is the part that locks the habit in for the long haul. This is what separates the hook model from just being a simple feedback loop. In this last phase, after you've gotten your reward, the product subtly asks you to put something back in. It asks you to do a little bit of work. This is the investment. And this whole phase works because of a fantastic psychological principle known as the IKEA effect. We've all been there, right? You spend hours struggling with confusing instructions and a tiny Allen wrench to build a wobbly bookshelf. Logically, it's not a great piece of furniture, but you love it. Why? Because you put your own sweat and effort into it. We humans irrationally overvalue the things we help create, and apps exploit this quirk masterfully. By getting you to invest your own effort, they manufacture a deeper and often illogical sense of value and loyalty to their platform. So what does this investment look like in the digital world? Well, it's all the things you put in. It's the data you provide when you build your profile and set your preferences. It's the content you create, every photo, every video, every post. It's the social capital you build up, your network of friends, your list of followers. It's even the skill you develop just learning how to use the app's interface. Each and every one of these little investments makes the service more valuable to you, and crucially, it makes it that much harder to ever leave. And here is the final, beautiful, and slightly sinister part of the whole model. Your investment closes the loop. It loads the next trigger. When you follow someone, you are setting up a future trigger. You're now going to see their posts in your feed. When you post a photo yourself, you're loading up the next variable reward. How many likes will it get? Every tiny bit of effort you put into the system makes the next cycle of the hook more personal, more engaging, and more likely to fire again. The product literally gets better and more addictive with every use. So, wow, now that we've seen the full architecture of compulsion, the natural question is, what on earth do we do about it? Well, the good news is the answer begins with something simple: awareness. Just understanding this four-step loop, trigger, action, variable reward, investment, is the single most powerful first step you can take to break free. Now, when you feel that phantom urge to check your phone, you can actually pause and name it. You can say, that's an internal trigger. I'm feeling bored right now. When you find yourself mindlessly refreshing your feed, you can see the slot machine for what it is. And when you're about to post something, you can recognize it as an investment that is designed to deepen the hook. This changes everything. It reframes the entire problem from "I'm weak" to "I see the system I'm in," and that allows you to consciously navigate it. And this leaves us all with a much bigger, more critical question to think about. Now that we can see the blueprint, now that the spell is broken, how do we move forward? How do we start demanding and designing technology that serves our long-term intentions, not our most primitive short-term impulses? How do we finally build a digital world that is, from the ground up, humane by design?